When Olivia told me about her company's annual gala, she described it as just another boring networking event. She said the venue was small, mostly coworkers and clients, nothing fancy. I didn't think much of it until the day before, when I noticed her new dress hanging in the closet. A sleek navy piece with a neckline she usually reserved for special occasions. "Who's it for?" I asked, half joking. She smiled, adjusting the strap. "Don't start. This work, James. You wouldn't enjoy it anyway." Something about her tone sat wrong with me. Not dismissive, defensive. Like she was already preparing for an argument that hadn't happened yet. The next evening, she left early, her perfume still lingering in the hallway long after the door closed. I tried to shake off the unease, telling myself I was being paranoid. But then a text popped up. "Hey, change of plans. Might be home late. Don't wait up." No reason, no photo, no detail. Just distance in digital form. By 10 p.m., curiosity got the better of me. I wasn't proud of it, but I checked her company's social media page. They'd posted photos from the gala. A sea of smiles, glittering glasses, and executives pretending to enjoy themselves. And there she was, in that navy dress, laughing beside a tall man I didn't recognize. His hand rested a little too comfortably on the small of her back. I zoomed in until pixels blurred, trying to convince myself it meant nothing. Still, the image burned into my mind like a brand. The next morning, she was quiet. Hair up, no makeup, sipping coffee as if the night before had been just another workday. "How was it?" I asked. She shrugged. "Fine. Boring, like I said." Her phone buzzed. She flipped its screen down before I could see the message. That was the moment something inside me shifted. Not anger, not jealousy, just awareness. I realized I was the only one still pretending everything was fine. A week later, one of her coworkers, a friendly guy named Mark, stopped by the garage where I worked. He needed help with his car's brakes. While I was tightening the bolts, he chuckled and said, "Man, you should have seen your wife at the gala. Everyone thought she was single until her boss asked if she was seeing anyone." My wrench slipped. "What did she say?" Mark hesitated, realizing too late what he'd stepped into. She, said it was complicated. Then her boss laughed and asked if she was open to being less complicated. Whole table cracked up. He tried to backpedal, mumbling about jokes and misunderstandings, but I barely heard him. That night, I waited for her to bring it up. She didn't. She scrolled through her phone while I made dinner, smiling at messages I couldn't see. Finally, I said, "Your boss sounds funny." "Complicated." "Huh." Her fork froze midair. "Who told you that? Does it matter?" Her eyes darted away. "It was a joke, James. You're overreacting." But I wasn't. I'd spent years being the man who stayed calm while she danced around boundaries. I'd brushed off flirty texts from male coworkers, the sudden gym obsession, the late-night team meetings, always giving her the benefit of the doubt. This time, I wanted the truth. "Did you tell them you're married?" I asked quietly. She sighed, annoyed. "Of course I did. Just not right away." I laughed, not out of humor but disbelief. "Not right away? What were you waiting for? Applause?" She slammed her fork down. "You don't understand the pressure, okay? They judge you differently when they know you're married. Especially if your husband works in a garage while everyone else's spouses are doctors or lawyers." There it was, the truth she'd been hiding behind politeness and smiles. It wasn't shame of me, it was shame of what I represented. I didn't say a word for the rest of that night. She retreated to the bedroom, and I sat in the living room, replaying every conversation we'd ever had about her job, her colleagues, her ambitions. I'd always admired her drive, how she carried herself in rooms filled with sharp suits and sharper smiles. But somewhere along the way, her pride had turned into embarrassment, and I had become a secret she maintained like a guilty habit. The following weekend, her company hosted another event, a small dinner for key clients. When she mentioned it, her voice was careful, measured. "You really don't need to come, James. It's just business talk." "Actually," I said, leaning on the counter, "I'd like to meet the people you work with." Her lips parted slightly. "It's not The kind of crowd you'd enjoy. I'll take my chances. She knew better than to argue. The silence between us that week was thick enough to choke on. When the night finally came, I wore my best black shirt. Pressed, clean, simple. I wasn't trying to impress anyone. I just wanted to stand next to my wife without feeling like a ghost. The dinner was held at a rooftop restaurant downtown. As we walked in, I caught the flicker of panic in her eyes when a few coworkers spotted us. She forced a smile and whispered, "Please, just don't make things awkward." I wasn't planning to. Her boss, a tall man in his 50s named Richard, approached with that kind of effortless confidence that comes from owning too many suits. "Olivia," he said warmly, "you didn't tell us you were bringing someone." She hesitated. "Oh, this is James. Her husband," I finished, shaking his hand. His grip was firm, and his eyebrows lifted, amused. "Well, I'll be damned," Richard said with a grin. "We were beginning to think you were keeping all the good men hidden from us." The table laughed. Olivia didn't. Through dinner, I watched her fidget, trying to control every conversation, steering attention away from me. When someone asked what I did for a living, she quickly jumped in, "He runs a small business," as if the words auto garage were too crude for candlelight. But Richard wasn't the kind to miss tension. Somewhere between dessert and champagne, he leaned back and said, "So, James, you free to attend our charity gala next month?" Olivia said she might come alone again, but I'd love to meet the man who actually got her to settle down. The table went quiet. Olivia's fork slipped from her hand. Richard smirked. "Oh, come on, Liv. You didn't think we wouldn't notice how single you like to look at these things." A ripple of laughter followed. Awkward. Nervous. I didn't laugh. She turned to him, face flushed. "That's not funny." He raised his glass. "Relax, we're just joking. But you've got a good one here, Olivia. Don't hide him too much or someone might think he doesn't exist." Something in her broke then. A mix of anger and humiliation. She stood up so fast her chair screeched. "Excuse me," and she walked out. The table fell silent. I set my napkin down, thanked Richard for the meal, and followed her to the elevator. She was already wiping tears before the doors closed. "Happy now?" she hissed. "You embarrassed me in front of everyone." I stared at her, stunned. "Embarrassed you?" "Olivia, I didn't say a single word." "You shouldn't have come," she snapped. "You don't fit in there." Her words landed harder than any argument we'd ever had. Not because they were cruel, but because they were honest. When we got home, she went straight to bed. I sat at the kitchen table, staring at the empty glass in front of me, thinking about all the times I'd supported her. The late nights, the canceled plans, the quiet understanding. And for what? To become a man she edited out of her life to look more impressive. By morning, I'd already made up my mind. When she woke up, there was a note on the counter. "You wanted uncomplicated. Now you've got it." I packed my things, drove to my brother's place 2 towns over, and didn't look back. A week later, she called. I didn't answer. She texted once. I didn't mean it like that. But the truth was, she did. Somewhere between the woman I fell in love with and the one I left behind, she had traded authenticity for approval. And I finally realized I wasn't angry at her for hiding me. I was angry at myself for letting her.